So welcome to my collector's friends. You know how much do I care about my wine club, which is, I'm dealing now with two restaurants and we have a vineyard project. But the wine club is like the hub of everything we are doing because we're creating this incredible group of almost 200 art wine makers and tomato sauce makers and olive oil and grain and stuff. We are creating this multi-pour system where everyone is cooperating one with the other. And especially when it comes to the collectors, it means that if we're talking about, you are 120 members right now, and I think we're going to close it again because, we're talking about Vin de Garage, the wines that have been aged for a while in the cellar, most of them in the vineyard. So just want to specifically explain that what you're receiving as the wines are not available on the market, in the sense that you might find it online, but you don't know where these wines were being aged, and so it's a special selection. This year we started also a little thing. You're going to receive on your email and a special card, a membership card. As a collector, you're a silver member. And if you want to have more information, there is another video, and I don't know if you can link it, Julia, the video that we just did before. And it's an incredible opportunity also to have a lot of privilege, like direct line with our sommelier, with Sylvia, if you want to book for Roscioli restaurants all over Rome and New York. So first of all, we're going to start with the two sparkling wine, the champagne. In this specific case, I asked the help of Dario Cappelloni. Dario Cappelloni is one of the greatest wine journalists of Italy, and he has been working in the wine business for more than 40 years. And he has been with Maurizio Paparello, one of my mentors, and we did our first French tour 18 years ago in Champagne. And so I asked him, because he's working with Le Bollicine, is champagne selection, and I asked him to bring me some champagne to taste, and he came back with more than 50 bottles, and we selected two of the ones that we liked more. The first one is Hervé Dubois, is a Blanc de Blanc from Aviz. Aviz is in the center of the Côte de Blanc, where its main production is a Chardonnay. And this wine that we selected is a Blanc de Blanc Reserve, which is a bit of a blend of Aviz, Cremant, and Auger. It's a kind of a little amphitheater where the soil is a white, chalky, beautiful soil that gives to the wine this nice salty finish. And so it's one of those type of wines that goes on the citrusy, orange, lemon, and like refreshing type of wine, which is the characteristic of the wines from that region, and also the characteristic of the récoltant manipulant. It means that we are talking about growers that has been making wine and they don't buy grapes from outside. Champagne is a mess. I mean, it's an incredible wine region, but trying to connect the wine with the winemaker sometimes in Champagne is not easy. And the second one is in a little village that I didn't even know is Puiseux. I hope I am actually pronouncing properly. I'm sorry for my French friend. It's a Blanc de Noir, so 100% Pinot Noir. In this case, it's an extra brut. It's only 4 grams of liter per liter. 4 grams of sugar per liter. It's a Grand Cru from Montagne des Reims, Reims Mountain, which they are called mountains, but they're not, they're just high hills. That is actually mainly Pinot Noir. So if you want to open those two bottles together, it would be ideal, because this one has been more crispy, the other one is more on the red fruit soil. Both of them are on the tight flavor, so especially the second one doesn't do any malolactic fermentation. It means that maintain this high acidity in the wine, crispy flavor, and it's being balanced by the yeast and by the slightly more fat flavor of the Pinot Noir. So these are the two champagne. Two champagne that are supposed to be, you can Vin de Garage, you can keep them in the cellar, drink it now. But again, we're talking about champagne that has been staying between 42 to 48 months on their own yeast, so they can be used as an aperitif or even through all the meal, as long as you pair it with sugar. That's just something I would repeat it over and over. Okay. The second one is a wine that it was a bit risky to put this wine in the selection, because this is a Vernaccia di Oristano that has been aged for more than 22 years old. The Vernaccia di Oristano I'm in front. My video operator can talk about a vernaccia that we tried that was 18, so it's 150 years old vernaccia. So if you want to keep this vernaccia, we are in Sardinia, first of all. We are in Sardinia in Oristano, so it's on the west coast, in the middle, central west coast of Sardinia. And there is this wine that is a vin de fleur, so it's a wine that is aged in open barrels. So somehow it might similar to the concept of Madeira, even if it's not fortified, or the concept of, for example, of Marsala. So those are wines, are contemplative wine that works on an oxidation that is done on purpose. So you might find that there's a sense of Madeirization of the wine, and also this beautiful spicy sweetness. What is incredible about these wines that are ageless. As I was telling you, I was with Julia and Armando a couple of years ago in Mamoyada. We're going to publish a video soon about it. And we tasted this wine that was from 1878. So if you want to keep this wine in the cellar for 100 years, feel free to do it. And you write it, this is from my grandnephew when he will get 18 years old, or 21 if you're in US. This is a wine that it really has. I have to advise you that this is not a white wine, it's not a red wine, it's something that goes beyond. And this is an ideal wine that you're supposed to taste just before the dessert. At the end of the meal, with some hard cheese, or maybe some foie gras it can go, or maybe with some with some special ham. But blue cheese is going to be ideal. But do not complain about this wine if you think that it's too awkward, in the sense that it's not exactly what you expect from a white wine. The next one is Zagreo, which is from a producer that is called Cacciagalli. You have a video of Cacciagalli. Zagreo is a wine from northern part of. I'm just checking. I just want to make sure that because I was not sure about the grape varieties that were there. Do you remember Zagreo? What was it? Zagreo non filtrato, because I'm pretty sure that it is a Palagrello Bianco and Fiano. No, it's actually mainly Fiano d'Avellino. So it's Fiano. Sorry, I'm getting confused about all these wines. So we are in the northern part of Campania, and not so far from the border of Lazio, so north of Naples, close to Caserta. It's a beautiful area where this couple decided to create a beautiful ecosystem with animals, with plants, with fruits. There is some apples and apricots. So it's a beautiful biodiversity they created. They make incredible white and red wine. And we tried, when we were in the cellar, a Fiano that was almost 10 years old, and I loved it. And I asked him, can you please give me 60, 70 bottles, because we're talking about his private cellar, and he was generous enough to sell this special wine that was kept in the cellar. This is something that I will repeat over and over and over. When you find a Zagreo that is 2016 years old, or some of others, the De Vida de Riserva, for example, the Perillo Taurasi Riserva, those are wines that have been aged in the cellar of the winemaker, which makes a huge difference. And especially for my American friends, I'm telling you that I've been trying sometimes some old wines in US, like Italian old wines. They were completely off, because you don't know in the last 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, where this wine were kept. So somehow we take care of it. We move now, for example, from Campania, now we move to Piedmont again, and this is the first one from Piedmont, and it's a Barolo San Bernardo. You surely know Palladino. Palladino has been part of our wine club forever, and San Bernardo is it's kind of I'm pretty sure it's a monopole. We are in Serra Lunga d'Alba, which makes one of the most tight and endless type of Barolo. We are in the area of Monfortino, and Monfortino is, you probably know that Monfortino is possibly at the moment the most expensive Barolo. I hope that that Roberto Conterno, which is the god of Barolo, will not get offended if I tell you that we did a blind tasting once with the Cascina Francia, and there was a San Bernardo, and San Bernardo was considered the best wine of that panel of Serra Lunga. And we're talking about the mythological wine that was Cascina Francia. So San Bernardo here, we're talking about 2016, is a wine that is already 8 years old. It's not on the market. It's just on the market. It's only 1,500 bottles. And we're talking about Barolos that are all on the balsamic on the tannins, tight, and this profound aftertaste. There's no fluid at all almost. It's a truly blue marl Nebbiolo. Below that, we have a Santa Maddalena. Santa Maddalena is a wine that is made of the grape variety that is called the Schiava. And Schiava is considered the everyday light. It's a light Pinot Noir, let's say. So it's more on the spice, really refreshing. But it's not a wine that people perceive it to be aged. While when you go to Santa Maddalena, or think about, for example, some of the wines from Girland, and I had a Santa Maddalena, I had a Schiava from Girland that was 1978. So that's something that completely changed my perception of how you think a grape variety is an everyday wine. They really, really, really depend on the grape variety, on the winemaker. So this is a kind of a Pinot Noirish type of style of a red wine that is supposed to be light but is aged. So do not expect a high alcohol. Do not expect to have a really dark, a big color. That was the big misunderstanding of some of the wines from the New World in the 90s. The higher the alcohol, darker the color, better the wine. Or more full body. There is a big misunderstanding between the concept of full body and complexity and thickness. A wine can be thick without being full body. A wine can be light being a full body. Think about Burgundy, for example. And some of, I had some Burgundy wines that were like 50, 60 years old, and they were so light in the color, but so persistent in the palate. It's the difference between heaviness and elegance. We move on now to Pasquale Bonamici. Now we go back to Sardinia in a place called the Mamoiada. We just finished we're finishing to edit in a documentary about Mamoiada. Mamoiada is like the heaven of the new discovery of wine, because there are still winemakers that work on freestanding bush vineyards. We're talking about plants that produce now more than 300, 400 grams per plant. An incredible, beautiful, spicy Mediterranean type of Cannonau. You might call it Grenache, but actually the real name is Cannonau. We'll repeat it over and over, that no matter how the French or the Spanish would say that they brought Cannonau to Sardinia, Grenache to Sardinia, they recently discovered a jar with seeds of Cannonau / Grenache that is more than 3,000 years old. So I'm sorry for my French or Spanish friends. Cannonau, it is Sardinia. This is not a challenge, but I'm telling you that it's not a colonized grape variety. People that are so proud about their tradition, about their ecological side, about they make these parties almost every month. There is one that is called Mamutones. They wear this mask and they drink this incredible wine of a village that is 2,000 inhabitants, 600 winemakers, and we're actually helping the winemakers to keep the wine there in the cellar, to let it grow a bit. And this is a special reserve. It's only 500 bottles. We bought the entire production, so you better like it, okay? Pasquale Bonamici is such a nice person. He's so simple and straight to take care about his wines, like he's taking care of a child in a way. Now, Brunello di Montalcino, 2019, Cielo d'Ulisse. This is a single cru vineyard from Montalcino. Le Ripi is, to me, is a beautiful story. If you see the documentary we did with Le Ripi and Poggiorellino, sometimes we put Poggiorellino in the selection, sometimes Le Ripi. The one is a really small winery, the other one is a bigger winery. But what I love about Le Ripi, that it is owned by a famous rich guy that used to own a coffee company, Illy Caffè. You probably know it if you're Italian for sure, but you find Illy even in New York and in France. And so he decided to buy a vineyard 30 years ago, I think 25 years ago. But the first 10 years, he created the usual fake Montalcino with a lot of oak, trying to imitate a bit Napa Valley, to amuse the American tourism. And when Sebastian came to work in the vineyard, he changed completely this concept to go back to a Brunello that was a bit more light and a bit more complex and more elegant, so less oaky. And I love his style. If you're part also of the wine club level 1 and 2, you might find his Sangiovese that is made on the Amiata mountain, and we've been working with him so nicely, and so finally he decided to give us the Le Ripi. Is an incredible opportunity. This is 2019. It's almost a reserve because it has been staying 5 years, so it's 2 years more than the official denomination of the region allows you to produce Brunello. Is a Brunello like more slightly classical style, less fruity, more on the spice, nice and round at the end. Brigaldara Amarone, and this is another thing that you might probably insult me because I'm putting Amarone in my tastings. And usually I make jokes about Amarone, like type of a fake wine. But what is the main big misunderstanding is Amarone usually is been drinking too young. When it's getting old, the Amarone gets this kind of a portish port style of flavor. The fruit is a bit less, so the alcohol is more integrated. I'm talking about those producers of Amarone that they don't make those super international, overly fruity, overly oaky Amarone. Talking about Amarones that are more classical style. And again, we've been becoming friends with Brigaldara, and they gave us the opportunity to buy some bottles that were, in this case, is 13 years old. So this kind of wine technically is not on the market. It was bought directly from the winery, so you better like it. Gianfranco Fino so this is a completely different, but it would be nicer to compare the Amarone with the Gianfranco Fino, because there are some people that say that most of the Amarone is made with Primitivo from Puglia, which is totally legal, but I don't want to get into this thing about this legal or illegal thing. But for sure Primitivo and Amarone are two wines that's been going together a lot in the 90s. And Gianfranco Fino in this specific case is making an S. This is the red label. It's a special Riserva Primitivo. This is the quintessential concept of fruity. It's Zinfandel. So this is if you want to create like a bit of a shock for your taste buds, it will be nice to compare this Gianfranco Fino with the San Bernardo. San Bernardo is a wine that doesn't have a single hint of fruit, and Primitivo. So the idea is also to give you in these 12 bottles a different panels of wines, a completely different one from the other. Perilli Taurasi. Or even a nice comparison will be Perillo, this one here with the Barolo, because this is a special reserve from Aglianico. Aglianico is kind of the Nebbiolo of south of Italy, is surely more tannic, even less fruity than Barolo. So it's a wine that only gets its strength on the tannin on the soil. And this is it's a beautiful wine in my opinion. That the problem of Taurasi that you cannot drink if it's not at least 5 years old. In this case, we're talking about a 6 years old Taurasi, but if you're patient enough, leave it in your cellar or in your house for a couple of years, this wine is going to get better and better. And then we go to Tuscany again, and in this specific case, is a different shape of Sangiovese. I call it the Mediterranean Sangiovese. We are in Suvereto, we're not so far from Livorno, so this area is facing the Super Tuscan area. So Livorno is the northwest of Tuscany. Bolgheri, we're not so far from Bolgheri, just to geographically understand. This is the place where Ornellaia is produced, where Sassicaia and other famous type of wines. In this specific case, I like the idea that they are using Sangiovese where everyone is using Cabernet and Bordeaux blends, not so far from there. We're talking about Sangiovese that are slightly more round than the one you can find in the Chianti area. This is a special reserve that comes from the cellar again, so a wine that is 9 years old, aged in the cellar. Now, for the reds only, there are a couple of wines that are, because if you don't want, for the one that choose the reds only selection, there is also a Pernanno 2016 from Sobrero. So instead of the sparkling and the whites, this specific Pernanno is, you see, there is a video that explains everything about it. So if Giulia and Giovanni want to put the link of the Sobrero, it's one of the steepest vineyards of Castiglione Falletto. Gives you a wine that is incredibly powerful, but with the nice tight finish. It will be perfect to compare it if you want to do a Barolo challenge with the San Bernardo. And 2016, again, this is a wine that has been aged for 8 years. Trust me, it's a unique, great opportunity to have a wine that is 8 years in the cellar. SRC Alberello, we've been talking about Etna. Everyone is talking about Etna. And but I don't know if Giulia agree with me. Along all the ones we tried, I think that Valcerasa, SRC, they were my favorite. Even what was the crazy hippie guy? I don't remember that. But you can say, if you just write Etna and Roscioli, you find all the tours that we did. So it's difficult to find Etna that are purist Etna. And SRC to me is a perfect example. Purist Etna means that the wine is not highly concentrated, but it's... what's the name of it? Come on. I don't remember. And it's a beautiful winery there. The guy, Rory, is incredible. He's making, in my opinion, one of the best wines. We're actually thinking about to make a single cement, like amphora wine from him. And it's a wine that stays a lot on this smoky type of flavor. And also, I don't know if you remember when we tried the Albarello ones, the freestanding bush, that was a completely different flavor just because the vineyard was planted in a different way. 2000, I think it's 2019 or 20, I don't remember. Bruno Ferrara Sardo, yes. Bruno Ferrara Sardo is the other guy. We're talking about the three winemakers that we love about Etna, is Valcerasa, Scirto too, and Bruno Ferrara Sardo, and SRC are those Etnas that has not been corrupted by an over concentration, and trying to transform Etna in something that is more similar to this high concentrated alcoholic over oaky type of wines that I personally do not like. Also, they are really respectable of the environment. The vineyards are an incredible ecosystem. You find olive trees and plants and seeds. The best wild strawberries I had in my life. We're not so far from a vineyard that we bought, that is in Sciaranuova with the Scirto. So probably next year the collectors we get our own wine. We're still, it's still in the Vasque in the bottle, and we're going to bottle it probably this winter. The next one that is part of it's a Musella, is another Amarone from Musella. The Valpolicella, the basic Valpolicella, is in the tier 1, in the level 1 wine club. As I was telling you, Musella, if you see the other video, Musella is one of the few that is actually turned the Amarone. Monte d'Allora, Musella, Enzeno, Brigaldara, Monte dei Ragni. I think there are 5-6 wineries that are not following the trend of this over alcoholic and fruity Amarone. A lot of oak, a lot of raisin flavor. The Amarone from Musella, in my opinion, is beautifully sweet, but with a nice spicy finish at the end. Totally organic. She's turning more than 45 hectares, 100 acres in totally in a beautiful biodiverse organic area. If you see the video of Musella, you will see goats and sheep going around the vineyard. It's totally wild, and she's an incredible woman. She's making an incredible white wine too, and if I find some bottles, I might put it in the collectors next year. And the last one is Rosa delle Casasse from Baricchi, Barbaresco. This is a wine that's almost impossible to find. 2017, already 7 years old, aged. And what is incredible about that, this is a vineyard, one of the oldest vineyards of Barbaresco. I think it's about between 90 and 100 years old. Trust me, finding old vineyards in Barbaresco is not easy, but especially is a Nebbiolo rosé. Not to misunderstand with the concept of a rosé wine. There are 3 main clones of Nebbiolo: Michet, Lampia, and Rosé. And Rosé was completely abandoned in the 20s and 30s because it's a grape variety that doesn't produce a lot. It's a clone of the Nebbiolo. Right? We're talking about the Nebbiolo family. So it's a clone that doesn't produce a lot. But it's so delicate. It's so, it's like a feminine, complex, beautiful feminine version of the harshest side of the Barbaresco, usually that is given by Lampia and Michet. And it's beautiful. It's a single vineyard type of wine. Costs a lot of money, so try to like it. So keep in touch. Please remember that you're going to receive this card soon, and we're going to send you a video how to use this card. What is this about? We give you a lot of opportunities, and see you soon. Ciao.